Hey Dan, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good, thank you. Good to speak to you, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. How about yourself?
Not too bad. Thank you for doing this. I really appreciate your time, and it's good to chat with you, man.
Hey man, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
I've been a big fan of yours for a long time, so it's cool to get the opportunity to chat with you.
Oh, thank you, bud. I appreciate it.
But, how have you been holding up in these strange times that we're living in at the moment?
Yeah, man, I'm just hanging out. It's been a bunch a bunch of just hanging out because we can't really work. So, I mean, I've actually been writing over Zoom a bunch, and we've done a few little concerts, I guess so to speak, over over Facebook and Instagram and all that stuff. So we've just been kind of trying to stay in contact with the fans like through all that. But that's about all you can do right now.
How are you finding the whole Zoom writing thing? Because I'm guessing that takes a while to adjust to at first.
It's I'm kind of over the Zoom writing thing. I'm ready to get back like into contact with people. I don't know. There's something about getting up and kind of getting your routine and going to the studio and kind of getting in the room and feeling the room and things like that I miss for sure.
I guess for you, it's been nice to have some downtime because I guess this is the biggest break you've had since you've been in the business, I guess.
It's I certainly say yes, it is, and I am. For me, it's like when you get out there on the road, it's like it gets in your blood, and man, about a little more than a week off, I'm ready to get back out to it. So I'm going stir crazy. I'm just ready to play a show and get back on stage.
Yeah. But you mentioned that you've been doing some live streams and teaming up with various websites and things. But looking on the bright side of this situation, it's been really cool to see how the fans have stayed engaged and stayed so committed through all this time. So that must have been really cool for you to see.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, it's just I think people's just starving for entertainment or something. You know what I mean? To just kind of, I guess, get away from all this a little bit. All this crazy stuff.
Yeah. Now I want to speak to you about this new single, "Turn Up," which I'm absolutely loving. It's such a great
Okay.
track, and I think it's exactly what we all need at the moment. It's kind of shut off from whatever's going on in the world at the moment, crank up some good music, and enjoy life for a little while. So tell us a little bit about that one and how it all came together.
It's funny. At first, when I was writing with Wade, my producer and friend, and he had brought a title to a write. He'd been watching the NBA Finals, and I guess one of the players at the end was like, "Hey, man, what do you want to do?" He's like, "Man, I just want to turn up." And he brought that title. And at first, it was crazy. I wasn't crazy about the title at first, and so we didn't write that title that day. And then we got back together with Jesse Alexander, and he brought that title back up again. And I said, "Well, man," I said, let's chase it and see what happens, because sometimes you just don't know how uh, things kind of to work out. And we chased it, man, and I'm glad we did because it turned out to be one of my favorite songs.
And you mentioned working with Jessie Alexander there as well. She's written some of my favourite songs of all time. She's an absolute genius in the writing room. So, what was it like to work with her in a writing sense, and how much does that fuel you creatively to work with someone like Jessie?
She's great. She's awesome, and it's one of those things where different writers bring different things to the room. Everybody has strengths, and she certainly brings hers, and Wade obviously brings his, and it just everybody brings something unique to the room.
And I've been reading some other interviews that you've been doing recently, and you've talked about the new music and saying how you're going back to your roots with this new stuff. So just explain what you mean by going back to your roots, and what can we expect from this new EP that's coming soon.
Well, I think for me, it's one of those things where your first record, you have your whole life to write for your first record, and after that, it's kind of like you don't. And so this past year and a half, 2 years, I've had a chance to really go back and just take my time and write stuff that I love and go through and kind of call the stuff that I don't like as much, because you don't hit it out of the park every day. So it's given me the chance to kind of go back and just take my time and pick stuff that I love.
Yeah. And how much has that improved since becoming an independent artist? Because I guess you have so much more freedom to kind of work at your own pace and do exactly what you want to do. So how much of a difference has that made for you?
it's definitely given me, the time to just kind of go back and do my own thing and just kind of, take my time and figure out what direction I want to go and things.
And are you at a stage in your career now with this new music where, should we say, chasing radio success isn't everything now? Because you've got a concrete fan base who will always turn up to shows, and ultimately releasing the music that they're going to like and that you like is the most important thing, I guess.
Well, it's definitely, to me, it's always important to satisfy your fans and put out stuff that they love. But I'm definitely competitive, and I definitely plan to get back to radio here eventually.
Fingers crossed. So what's the plan for this EP? How many songs are going on this EP, and what can we expect from the project?
Honestly, if I'm being honest, I'm not sure how many yet. We're kind of in the process of working on that. But I've got enough. I've probably got enough songs I've been working on for probably 2 records. So
yeah, I was going to say, because you're a prolific writer, aren't you? So you must have so much in the can that's just ready to go.
We've got a lot in the can, but that's a good problem to have.
It certainly is. And I wanted to speak to you about the acoustic version of A Little More Country Than That you released for the 10th anniversary, because that was such a cool version of that track. It was great to hear it all stripped back. So what was the thinking behind doing that, and how much fun was that to put out to the fans?
It was just something, to engage our fans and give them something a little different out there, and something that they're familiar with, but a little bit different version of it, and that they hadn't heard. And it was great, man. It was really cool to go back and do an acoustic version, because that's obviously my first hit record, and so I'll always be thankful for that. And that's definitely a staple for me.
Absolutely. And I just wanted to speak to you about touring plans as well, because obviously it's so difficult to plan for anything at the moment when we don't know where the world's going to be in a few months' time. But have you got any plans set in stone at the moment to do anything in the next few months?
Actually, we actually booked a show that I'm actually playing acoustic by myself. I told him, man, I just want to get back out on the road, and even if it's something where, it's like, hey, I know how to play guitar, I know how to sing, and that's the way I started. So it's like I can certainly go back and do that again. So I'm actually going to go back and play a show in Ohio, just me and a guitar. And I think we're in the process of working on some maybe, drive-in shows that they're doing now with a couple other artists.
Yeah, that'd be cool. And just before I let you go, Easton, I wanted to chat to you about the UK as well, because I know that you haven't really ventured into the UK market very much so far. So is it something that in the near future you'd quite like to have a go at and come over
I
here?
I would definitely love to come over and play over there. I got a chance to. I've only. You can't really. I don't know if you can really say Canada's out of the country. It's but before going to Japan, I went to Japan this past year, and that's the first time I'd really been out of the country. And man, I had a great time over there, and so I would definitely love to come over to the UK and play and bring the music to the fans over there.
I think it'd be a great time for you to come over, because country music's doing so well in the UK now, and we've got our own country festivals that happen every year. So I think it's a perfect time to get you over.
No, I would love to come for sure.
Well, fingers crossed we can make that happen. But Easton, thanks so much for your time today. I appreciate you joining us, and
Dan,
best of luck with all the new music, man.
Hey, thank you so much. I appreciate it. You bet. Thank you.
Speak to you soon, man.